I don't think we need that in the future. That is what a decision maker of a multinational company told us when they looked into the evaluations of the speakers they had globally. They were doing 42,000 events per year, so they're not booking a bit speakers or a low number, they were booking speakers each and every day. Average evaluation 7.2 out of 10. So controlling, and even the board said, they are horribly expensive. And they don't even deliver what we expect from them in average. Or at least our clients who we invite to our events don't appreciate what they actually do. So they asked us if we could do a study to find out if speakers actually deliver value to events. So the question was, do speakers deliver value? Which means, if yes, they have a problem with their booking process. If no, they're going to scrap speakers and they just ask people from university, from the industry, someone who's going to show up for free. I moved here 2 years ago, and one question we have to raise, how could it happen that a German guy goes on 2 main stages in English-speaking world? Because one thing is very clear, no one needs a German guy to show up to tell other people in their country how to run their business. Zero need. So the only benefit to have a German speaker is everything will start and end on time. Unlike in the UK. Ish. So what is the reason why people book me, why people book other people at PSA? And some people are still struggling and telling me they have problems to fill their workshops to get booked as a trainer or speaker or whatever you deliver. And the problem number one, and the more we move into the English-speaking world, the worse the problem gets. We've done a study. We talked to 5,500 speakers and to 2,500 decision makers who book speakers on a nearly daily basis. The trust towards trainers, speakers and coaches is on a record time low. The trust has never been lower. And there's a reason for that. How do people become trainers, speakers, coaches? Normally, people have experience, then they grow their expertise, and suddenly they decide, well, I could do that self-employed, and then they became trainers, speakers, coaches. That was the pastime. Nowadays, it happens the following way. Your company decides that you are more or less redundant. They offer you a bunch of money. You take the money and then you say, well, I'm going to start a speaking business or a training business with that money. Only in the German-speaking area, Germany, Austria, Switzerland, we have 84,000 people offering services which are somehow training, speaking, coaching. 38,000 people only in London and surrounding it are offering exactly that. If you are speaking on leadership, sales or health at the moment, you are in 85% of the market who try to sell something in that area. So the ground you have to start from may be a bit straightforward, but the ground you have to start from is no one is waiting for you. Frustrating, isn't it? Welcome to the German approach to speaking and training. So how can you change that? Number one, you need a very clear proof of your expertise. And I give you an example. We have Dr. Linda Shaw here, a neuroscientist. I talk to numerous neuroscientists and what people who call themselves trainers or speakers put out there, which is labeled neuro whatever. It's just painful. It is far away from anything that has been proven, that is true, where a study is behind it. It's just opinion. If you want to make a living just putting an arbitrary piece of opinion out there, no proof in science, no proof in the real world, join UKIP. They do that. Sorry, I had to. You need a very clear proof of your expertise. And a proof does not mean a title. Academic degrees can help you. I talk about leadership, and if people see there's a track record of science, it helps you to get booked. Because what you need to do is to minimize the risk of the booker. When people book you, the first thing, they always tell you, yeah, we look for the best value for the people who are in the audience. Wrong. What they are looking at is, I want to protect myself, I don't want to lose my client, I don't want to lose my job. So please give me safety and security that I'm going to sit in this seat after the event is over. and you need proof of your expertise. After checking 5,500 speakers' websites, 15% had a proof of their expertise. Why? They claim 15, not 50, 15. And by the way, 10% of the speaker websites showed lies. So we background checked them. LinkedIn, I work there, senior regional manager in Asia. We called the company and they told we're not even in Asia. So it was just made up. If your track record can't be proven, they will never book you. And believe me, what they do, they background check you, especially in the UK. You're really experts in background checking. And what they will tell you is this British politeness. Thank you very much, really appreciate it. We decided for someone else, but it's a great proposal. Thank you so much. We get back to you next time, next event, whatever. And it simply means we're never going to talk to you ever again. Maybe sounds even more scary with a German accent. Step number 2. When you say you want to deliver training or speaking, you need a track record. Where have you done that before? I did my first training sessions at university just by coincidence, and it helped me a lot. If you start from the scratch and you try to get into the training business, you need to start with what we did, evening events where we brought people in for 20, 30 quid 18 years ago, where they simply saw me for an hour and a half, and after that they said, well, we go with that guy, or no, we don't. If you try just to appear on the market and sell for the numbers you always hear in speaking associations, 2 grand, 3 grand, 4 grand, 5 grand, you're not going to make any sales with that. What is your training experience? And who is willing and able to give you a video testimonial, which is always better than a written testimonial. Written testimonials, in my opinion, aren't worth the paper they are printed on anymore, because people know how this goes. When you tell people, I have a great testimonial from my former employer. Yeah, that was the out-of-court settlement for not suing them. People know that. So get a proof what your training experience is. Next step, and that was quite challenging for me, is the part of entertainment. Entertainment does not mean you have to be awfully funny, but especially in the UK it means you can't sell anything if you're not funny at all. It must have some sort of entertainment, and it was quite interesting. When I saw that I got on main stage in the US, people told me overnight success. Great, awesome. I know that people like to hear the overnight success story. I'm self-employed for 18 years now. Before I got to the first speaking gig in the UK, by the way, the UK happened after the US. US booked me first. Maybe you know Soho Theatre in London. I'm on the charity board of Soho Theatre. And Soho Theatre offers, when you talk to the comedians, they offer coaching. I had 214 coaching sessions during the last 2 years at Soho Theatre. Because when you come from a German background, it's not a stereotype where we're genuinely not funny. We are very serious about business. This is why we have these content-rich talks, which are so boring. So when I am booked in Germany, I have 80% content and 20% entertainment, which means you're automatically the funniest guy on the whole convention. So, by definition. When I'm in the UK, I have 60% content, 40% is entertainment, jokes, audience interaction. 40% of my time is not focusing on the content. I'm going to upload my video from PSA Mega. There's the whole part in the middle, 18 minutes time, and I spend 6 minutes in the middle on comedy only. Would never work in Germany. People will say, come to the point, where's the next takeaway, please? Could you please give us a list? So, when I'm in the US, 40% content, 60% is entertainment. And you have to adopt to that. Next step, when people type in your name online, there is no article, no blog, no proper website, no nothing. They will not believe a single word of you. I've been in the lucky situation. I started in 1998, where internet has been an ISDN, maybe you know when internet sounded like when you remember that sound. This is when I started. People didn't Google my name because we used Fireball. So when they type in your name, you need to get your message out. And what you should do, when you have several blogs or websites in your industry, talk to them. Most of them, that is my experience, are very grateful for qualified articles. because they have the problem that lots of people have no clue of what they do and they don't get enough content. As soon as you offer articles for free, what you should do, they will take them. They will accept 80 to 90% of what you offer them. Very important, never sell in these articles. As soon as you do, they kick you off the list. And never give the same article to more than one source. You genuinely have to write 10 articles for 10 different websites. Lots of effort, but it works. Next step, if you're an expert, you need to have products. So the second website they normally go to, Bookers Told Us, when they try to book you and they are interested after they Googled you, they go normally on amazon.co.uk and type in your name. And when it says nothing, the status of the expert, gone. Within a tenth of a second. It doesn't need to be a book, but there must be something. And a book is actually pretty helpful. And one very important advice, because I've read so many average books, that was, I adopted to the British culture. So, average. Writing a good book, in my opinion, or a great book, takes 1 to 2 years. So if you're starting now, don't rush. As soon as you have a bad book on the market, that spreads around the industry so quickly, you will never recover from that. You can start with a very small book, or a very short book, or a booklet even, but it must be of great content. When the content is weak and people are going to read that, they will never put you in front of anyone, especially not in training, because training means you're going to spend a whole day with them. Maybe people leave the room, go to the HR department, ask them what happened, who booked that person. They are in deep trouble then. Your products must be of great quality. Oh, and by the way, if you think about it, you start and then you have an agency who's going to give you business. There's a very simple rule. After I did my second PhD, and I just last week got confirmed that my professorship moved from the European Union to the New York University, which opens the whole American market, which simply means now I don't need agencies anymore, not at all. What happened within 1 week? 3 agencies contacted me. They're interested in working with me. Agencies show up, A, by coincidence, B, because you met someone, which is also coincidence, or C, they show up when you don't need them anymore. One very important point where you can at least push a bit towards the agencies is go to networking events, especially important in the UK. 2 books you must have read, Will Kintish, Business Networking, and Andy Lopata, Recommended, both members of PSA. Will Kintish, Business Networking, Andy Lopata, Recommended. Will Kintish, by the way, offers free networking classes for PSA members in London. When you're not a great networker and the whole system of networking is completely unknown in Germany, when you're not a great networker, go to this class. It changed our whole business. When you need to choose networking events, be sure, as soon as they cost money, they're normally quite good. When they are for free, you meet freelancers who sell to freelancers who don't want to talk to freelancers. Doesn't make any sense, waste of time. When it comes to your fee, you better be prepared to talk about your fees before your client asks you for it. We talk to speakers who normally started it, when we ask, we want to have you to speak at our events, so what's your fee? And the standard reaction was, well, normally it's £3,000. Okay, if you start like that, normally it's £3,000. Every person will do, okay, normally I can understand, but we want to work together with you in the future, and there will be recurring businesses and bookings. So what is the very special price to get a foot in the door with us? Most speakers discounted 40 to 50% within 15 minutes or less. And what happens then is they're going to tell you, oh, that's okay, I'm going to put that forward. A week later, they tell you the purchasing department needs to talk to you. And normally you end up with a fee of £800, which will be paid 90 days after the event. very good advice is, and I learned it the hard way as most people did, A, you never go to any event before the money's on the bank account. No exception ever. Especially not when you have to leave the country. When you're flying somewhere, try to sue someone in a different country. Good luck with that. Not going to happen. So 100% of the money is on the bank account before the event is going to take place. When, for whatever reason, let's say we have our business at 1 Canada Square. That's where our office is. And we have a bank which is close to that place, and we work together with them. And they told us we have an internal policy, I can't pay you your whole fee up front. I told them, well, it's just around the corner, and we agreed on $5,000. Yeah, but I just can't do that. I said, well, of course we have an option for that as well. So it's $5,000 when you pay up front, or it's 2 installments of $4,000. And then they said, well, that's more. Correct. So, is there no other way? No, there's no other way. You have your policies, we have our policies. And I also have to refinance my business, pay bills, etc. I'm going to get back to you within a week. 2 days later, the whole amount was paid. They just try to get the best out of you because they know that most speakers give in. Most trainers, by the way, as well. And by the way, training fees are always lower than speaking fees, and there is some people say they are not, but it's pretty easy to say why they should be. Speaking means I have an event for a certain company in a certain situation, at a certain point of time. The whole speech is tailor-made for that event. I can never use it again. It's a one-off, and I have to start from the scratch for each and every event. Training always has repetitive parts in it. So when you want to... Is it okay when I do with specific numbers and I talk about my fees? Is that okay? Yeah. So it's not bragging or showing off, it's just what we do. So training, we normally charge about $3,000 per day. When it's at the end of the world, of course more, but normally $3,000 per day. Speaking, depends where it is, between $5,000 to $10,000 per day, per gig. So, and by the way, what I ask you to do is, or what I recommend you to do is, when they book you, offer them more than they expect. Give you an example. I have been booked by BKR, which is a tax advisory company, pretty large one. Lots of Americans, but they were based, they were having their meeting in Paris. Then they asked me for the speech, I gave them the fee, and they agreed on the fee immediately, which for me meant I've been way too cheap. That's what it normally means. And then I told them, we also could do, after my speech, 2 workshops. And they told me, no, there's no budget for that. And I told them, well, it's the same fee. I am there for the day, so use me as often as you can. So now people think, oh, that's so generous. Yeah, there's a plan behind that, to be honest. When you are on stage, they see that you can speak for 45 to 90 minutes, and speeches get shorter, shorter, shorter. You must be very much on spot meanwhile. Normally keynotes, meanwhile, went from 90 minutes to 45. During the workshops, people see that you really have the expertise. The recurring business, the bookings, the training, the coaching happens when people see you to speak for 2.5, 3 hours, which is a workshop style environment. Lots of speakers don't do that for a reason, because they can't. They are not able to have more content than their 45 or 90 minutes. When they are put into a situation of full interaction, practice questions, solve that, they fail. This is why we have more people who successfully transform from a trainer to a speaker than vice versa. If you ever are at any of the international conferences, I go to any of them, to all of them. I can only recommend you to do so as well. It grows your business network tremendously. Go to all the conventions they offer you. When I meet people who are on stage, very funny, nice people, very entertaining for 90 minutes, but there's not really much content, I never go to their workshops, because these workshops are proper waste of time. That was a nice version again. So you must have a fee structure. When you do workshops, they will ask you for something like, okay, what's the half-day fee? And what is it? The same for the full-day fee, exactly. So there is one fee for a day, unless you can tell me that you are able to sell 2 half days on the same day, which, to be honest, I doubt. Anyone who told me lied to me. They could never prove it. When the day is gone, the day is gone. We also tell people the time. Our workshops always begin at 9 a.m. and they end 4 p.m. And there's a reason for that. 4 p.m. means I can get the plane to somewhere else on that evening. When I start 10 a.m. and we end 6 p.m. or something like that, it means I have to stay there overnight. The day after is just gone. You need to drive your business based on numbers. Not based on I take everything I can get and I do everything they want. Doesn't work very well. More and more important is that you have a good video. That's the next step. If you don't have a good video in nowadays times, forget about speaking, they're not going to book you anyway, they always ask for a video. This is why more and more formats appear where people, 4 or 5 trainers or speakers, get together, book a venue like this, maybe a bit larger, for an evening, do videos and invite people to look at them just to have a good video. That's a good point to start from. The video always has to show on what kind of level in business you are. We had people who rented a huge cinema and then they were speaking from a huge space, from a huge stage, and then you could hear by the echo the room is empty. So you could hear that. When you try to fake your business, you will fail. And I can just tell you, when NSA asked me to be on main stage, and you think, okay, I'm going to make that, it's going to be fine. When you speak in front of 1,200 speaking colleagues, I couldn't sleep for 3 days before that happened. I had a gig in Washington, after that in New York, and then I went with my photographer to the hotel and I said, we're just going to take a nap and then we go out. We went to bed, I slept 14 and a half hours straight through. So be sure that this principle which you sometimes hear, fake it till you make it, never works. As soon as you fake something, people will find out and you will be thrown back years in your business. One reason why lots of people are not booked, and I think one reason why I have been asked to go on main stage twice, is because I have a very straightforward message. I learned how to adopt to different cultures, to put it into different words, and you don't have to use swear words. But most people I hear don't give any new material at all. Sales speakers will always tell you, call the client, keep calling, make a proposal, be nice, offer something of value, close the deal. Leadership speakers, and that's my topic, often say, be a good example. Oh wow, groundbreaking. Yeah? So lead your people like a true leader, whatever that should mean. Yeah? And always be the first one who steps in front of your people to protect them. Maybe they mixed something up. So what you really need is you need a message, and the message needs to be unique and very clear. And it takes a long time to find that in your business. Most trainers offer Me Too business. I do communication workshops, yeah. So do 500 other people in the borough you live in as well. Maybe in the city you live in, maybe in the street you live in. What is your very unique and clear message? And most people are afraid of clear messages. Because you have to handle the reaction. After the joke I did on main stage at Mega, someone came to me, I liked your speech, but the UKIP thing, that's not okay with you. Oh, I think it's perfectly fine with me. So, during the main stage speech at NSA, you can see it online on YouTube, I did an illusion where I said speakers talk too much about themselves, and that was October last year, July last year, where I said, just imagine someone is writing an article about him or herself. Is that working? Probably not. Someone's on the radio talking about him or herself. Is that working? Probably not. Let's imagine someone stands in front of the nation and says, I can do that because I'm really rich. Is that working? Hopefully not. And I got 3 furious emails, anonymous emails of course, from like dancingsheep@hotmail.com or something like that. Straight for people who don't like to front up, but they like to, yeah. As soon as you have a very straightforward message, be ready for the reaction, but you won't have a single person, no matter where we're talking about. Do you have a single politician, musician, dancer, speaker, trainer, coach? Do you know any of these people where 100% say, well, I love that person? No. Some people love Tony Robbins. Some people don't. I don't. Lots of people do. because he's polarizing with his messages, with the way he is delivering. I still talk to people, including loads of PSA members, who tell me, I've been at that event and they all loved me. Great, you failed. When they all loved you, there was no message. You were simply one of the people they booked because someone said, and we had this issue with this accident at the site of the client. So we need someone talking about like security and working protection, stuff like that. Just book someone. They tick it off the list. They don't even listen to you. Of course they love you because they don't care about you. It's not about being loved. It's about being respected. Most speakers want to be liked. You need to be respected, no matter where you look. Respected people have controversial messages. Maybe some of you know Randy Gage, a motivational speaker in the US, very American. Not my style, but I know him personally, great guy. And he just thought, well, let's put something on my Facebook wall. I'm allowed to use that. It's very American, and it's not my opinion, just to tell you before. That is what he put online. After the financial crisis, by the way. So, 120,000 people reacted on that within 2 days. And believe me, 2/3 were not happy reading that. And in my opinion, he knows that. You don't have to agree. You don't have to like that. But he has a specific target audience who says, we need this kind of motivational speaker now. One of my clients has their main office in Florida, in Orlando. And they booked Larry Winget. Maybe you know him. Larry Winget wrote the book, Shut Up, Stop Whining, Get a Life. That already is pretty straightforward and very American. International audience, Americans, German, Austria, Switzerland, Sweden, Norway, Canada, Southern America, all over the place. And he said, you're in a deep crisis and it's your own fault. You did this wrong, you did that wrong, your marketing didn't cover this, your marketing didn't cover that, your emails are embarrassing, you're always selling to us. They actually did everything wrong, what Nathan was just talking about. And the only people who complained were the Americans, because they felt offended. The Germans did a standing ovation. I think it was the first time in my life where I saw Germans doing a standing ovation. Normally, when you have Germans doing a standing ovation, it means that your funeral is closer than you think. Yeah. Because normally standing ovations are given to people who are 99 years old and served the country 98 years of these 99 years, and we think we better give you an applause, it might be the last time we've seen you. So that is a standing ovation in Germany. And by the way, that's the fee structure of Randy Gage. Of course in the US fees are higher. Even in the US I can charge between $15,000 and $25,000. And by the way, his fees are on his website. Because he wants to get rid of people who contact him and they are far away from not being able to afford him. And by the way, that's a fee structure. That's what he offers. Meanwhile, he retired. He doesn't speak anymore. He only offers coaching programs which he's delivering from his home, or you can come to his place. It's quite frustrating when you have a phone call where one of your clients tells you how fascinated he is to be in his coaching group of Randy Gage, paying 20 grand per month for getting one webinar and a 1-hour phone call, and after that negotiates with you why you want to have 15 grand for a speech where you have to fly from London to New York. So he has done something right. You need to focus very sharp on a target audience. And people know when we do speaking or workshops, people will leave and they change their mind, but I have controversial messages. When they've done something wrong, I will address it. And most speakers are afraid of doing so because you think you offend people. You don't have to use swear words. You don't have to use offensive language, but you have to challenge their views. Some of you know Alan Stevens, PSA member. He always says, be controversial, not argumentative. That's exactly it. If you're not controversial, no one will remember you after you left the room. And believe me, Soho Theatre, I'm on the charity board, is exactly the same. The greatest sellout are always comedians like Frankie Boyle, for example. Frankie Boyle only puts in his social media profile, I'm at Soho Theatre, sold out. It is hardly online, sold out. And we have people who go there just for afterwards complaining about what he has said. Oh, it's these 3 people again. Yeah, they're going to write a complaint letter afterwards. Yeah, and they do. But they come again. What some people will now think is, yeah, this may work when you have your business for 16 years and now you come to the UK and, well, I can tell you how this whole thing started. This is where I grew up, by the way. Looks a bit like Dartford. So you see a massive industrial hub in Germany. It's a village where 4,000 people live. This is where I grew up. No one in my family ever was self-employed. Since 1486, all people in the family of Brabandt worked for the state. It's a big family tradition. I didn't tell my parents that I became self-employed for 2 years before they found out. It was a big shock. So what does this tell us? Number one, and I know we have people here who invested their time, which is great, this evening to come to this place. What you need to do is you need to spend more time to educate yourself and to train yourself. I talk to people who tell me they had 2 coachings and one-on-one coaching and now they are ready for the speaking market. Forget it. That's by far not enough. This is when they are, you see this was also a bit controversial. Maybe you can see that from my body language. You need to go to the international conventions. My career internationally took off when I went to the PSA, to the PSA Netherlands, to the PSA in France, to PSA UK, and to NSA in the US. I know it's not cheap sometimes, but it's also not really expensive. You have to spend a week or a weekend there. Not always easy, but if you don't do that, they will never ask you to be around them. They will never ask you to do a workshop, or to be on main stage, or to be broadcasted to 200,000 people in the US. So what some people expect is that you sit behind your desk in your room doing a bit of phone calls and a bit of emails and suddenly business comes in. Does not work. You need to invest a tremendous amount of money. Well, not even money, tremendous amount of time, because a convention is about 500, 600 quid with everything around that. But you need to invest a tremendous amount of time to become better than you are. This is the stage when I approached it first in the US, and I've been scared to death, to be honest. When I've been behind the stage, they told me 30 seconds, and I was like, and they said, oh, sorry, my mistake, 5 minutes. Stuff like that happens, yeah? Stuff like that. And then people use idioms that you don't know. I walked towards the stage, and some tech guy told me, break a leg. Hopefully not, because I didn't know the idiom. I never heard about that. So this is where it all started. In the age of 21, warning, old picture, in the age of 21 I said, I want to live in London, and they all laughed about me because the pound has been so strong, you see, a long time ago. The pound has been so strong, everything has been so expensive, and it still is. Living in London is extremely expensive. This picture is 16 years later, after we moved into One Canada Square and handed over KPMG our whole bookkeeping process. I come from a very simple background. None of my family has ever done anything of that. I never had private education. We were far away from that. Far, far away. And it ended on main stage. And I only can tell you 2 very important points. Number 1 is, when you focus on your business, important advice, personality promotes and ego eliminates your business. Especially important in the training and speaking world. Personality promotes and ego eliminates your business. And in a world where more and more companies are having more and more problems, and a huge amount of people approach these companies, a very small amount of speakers and trainers and coaches will be booked out for month and month and month, because they did their business based on common sense, numbers, and value. Are you part of that? Your call. Thank you very much.